Welcome to another edition of the Sabre Spotlight on the Marian Sports Network. I am Wade Bates, and the Marian women's hockey team getting ready to open up the 2018-2019 season this weekend with a couple of non-conference matches against St. Mary's University of Minnesota and UW-Eau Claire, both at the Blue Line Family Ice Center. Let's bring in Marian women's hockey coach Jamie Kivy. Coach, after a couple weeks of practice in a scrimmage, are your women ready to get going for real?
Yeah, we are excited. Had a good scrimmage this past weekend, and now with our going into our third week of practice, we're excited just to get into two non-conference games before we start NCHA play against St. Scholastica in 2 weeks. So definitely excited to get on the ice and play against someone new.
You know, we've looked at the Sabre hockey team as a program on the rise the last couple of years. You qualified for the Slaats Cup playoffs last season. And again, this year you bring back a nice core of student athletes, don't you?
Yep, we have our main returners all coming back, which is going to be nice. And they've been kind of our backbone the last 3 seasons. And we have that leadership. We have the upperclassmen, and it's going to be nice to rely on them. And also with our freshmen coming up, they're going to be able to step in and see some action right off the bat. But I think overall our team's going to be in a stronger position at the start of this season than we were last year.
As a coach, when you drop the pucks for the first time in practice, when you know you have most of your squad back, how different is that maybe if you have a big freshman class coming in?
It's nice when you have the core returners because, again, you can't replace or teach the experience at the collegiate level, so it's nice just having that group you can rely on, and then you just try to get everyone up to speed. But really the first 3 weeks we've been just trying to do a lot of the fundamental stuff and then implement that into our systems rather than trying to change the world all in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Talking about some of your student athletes coming back, I guess we have to start between the pipes and goal. Lindsay Stranis, an all-conference goalie coming back, and it's got to be confident and feel good as a coach when you have an all-conference goalie back in the fold.
Yep, and even more importantly, for speaking of Lindsay, she is a competitor. So it's one of those things where she's going to want to beat her performance from last year. So when we're in practices, she's pushing herself in games. She sets the bar high. So again, as a coach, that's what you want in your players is someone that every single day shows up and they want to compete and they want to outperform their last showing.
How about right in front of Lindsay? Can you kind of talk about defense this season? You bring back a nice core there. You're pretty young last year at defense, and you lost a few, but can I talk about what you're going to see defensively?
Yep, so we added a few freshmen. We have 3 new freshmen coming in, Laura, Gentry, and Sally, and they've all stepped up, and we've been impressed with how they showed the last 2 weeks of practice and into the scrimmage. So I'm hoping they can actually add a little bit more of an offensive punch this year than what we had last year. And then I know Hannah, who's coming in as a junior, but she missed all of last year because of an injury. So it's going to be nice to bring that back to the blue line because, again, she has probably one of the harder shots on their team, if not the hardest shot, and she's excited to be back. And then we have Megan and Jamie that obviously now have 2 to 3 years of experience under the belt.
When you have a threat of scoring from the blue line on the backside, how much does that change the dynamic of your team in general?
Big time. And that's one of the big things that I've noticed from last year to the year prior, where I think we produced 20 less points on the back end from just 1 year. And that's the difference between winning and losing a game. So as we start getting ready for this season, that was one of my main things. How can we be a threat from the blue line, whether it's shots or attacks from the blue line or getting them to jump into the play? So that's going to be a big point for us.
Before we talk about the forwards this year, let's go back and talk about, we talked about Lindsay Stranis. You have an all-conference goalie, but you also have a couple of goalies behind her that are pretty good.
Yeah, we have 4 right now that are just pushing each other daily, and it's been nice. I've never had 4 goalies before, and it's worked out really well where they've been partnering up. It's a little bit more competitive in games where they're switching out and on goals, I should say, in practices. But yeah, our core, I can't complain there. So I would like to get everyone in a game, but at this level, we want to win games too. So like I said, goaltending, we're pretty set.
Is it hard to find goalies at the Division III hockey level?
I think so. But fortunate for us, for the last 7 years that I've been here, we've always had a goalie that we've been able to count on. So knock on wood, let's continue with that.
How about your forwards this season? You bring back a nice core of your scoring from last season.
Yep, for sure. So Morgan Bolin and Jill Schneider stepped up for us last year, where the year before they didn't put up as many points. Looking forward to having Allie Fox hopefully make the score sheet a little bit more, but I also want to make sure that we're giving her the opportunities to do that rather than setting those expectations. And then I also know we have some freshmen that will be able to come in and see some minutes, but hopefully also be able to produce. So overall, I'm excited about the core group that we have coming back and just hopefully now progressing and setting the bar even higher.
Can you talk about your recruiting philosophy and where you kind of reach out to? Because we've seen in Division III across the board, you recruit all over North America and even some people going to Europe and such. Just talk about your philosophy when it comes to finding student athletes to come to Marian.
Yep, and it's changed over the years. Right now, our team's primarily from the Midwest. We have a lot of Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota. But my goal right now is to expand and start getting into Canada a little bit more because, again, hockey up there is pretty much their number one sport, and want to test those boundaries. But I also want to expand and start heading out west. But recruiting is a big part of what we do, and on top of talent, we just want to bring in the right kids where they fit in with the locker room and they're fun to be around.
How about high school hockey on the girls' side in the state of Wisconsin? I see the numbers are growing. It seems like year to year, but just what's your take on watching a lot of hockey? What it's like in the state of Wisconsin?
Growing up in Wisconsin, I've been able to kind of see the landscape how it's been for the last 20 years. So from where it was in the early 2000s to where it is right now in 2018 has been amazing. We're producing really talented student athletes and kids that will have the opportunity to make the jump into college, whether it's at the NCAA level, Division I, Division III, or even at the club. But the hockey in Wisconsin is picking up, and it's been fun to see. And we have AAA teams, we have high school teams. So, again, it's kids that we are trying to go after.
We mentioned we made it to the Slaats Cup playoffs in the NCHA the last couple of years. Just what's your take when people think of the NCHA on the women's side? A lot of times, think of Adrian as the first team you think of, but just your take on the conference in general as you look into the 2018-19 season.
Competitive, top to bottom, competitive. It's one of those things where it's always a nail biter. Last year, it went down to the final weekend to see how the standings would finish up, who would make the playoffs. So again, every single point and every single game is so important from us. Whether you're the Adrians down to the new teams that are just joining our conference. So again, that's one thing I like about our conference. It's anyone's game going into a weekend, and obviously we have great competition. Adrian, they've been able to make the national tournament the last 2 years, so it's been fun to just kind of go against that competition.
Mentioned as the Sabres qualified for the conference tournament the last couple of years, but what are some of the things you're going to need to look for from this team this year? If they want to move up, maybe not get in in that sixth spot, but maybe move up into the upper part of the conference.
Yeah, we just need to find a way to put the puck in the back of the net more. We lost too many games last year by a goal, and right now it's not our goaltending or our defense that are holding us back. We need to be able to find ways to get that win and get that extra goal. So again, for me, it's going to be a little bit more emphasis on offense this year than it is on the back end.
Well, you'll find a little bit more about the Sabres this weekend. A couple of afternoon tilts, St. Mary's University of Minnesota on Saturday, and then on Sunday, UW Eau Claire. Again, two quality opponents to take on and get a good first look at the Sabres.
Yep, St. Mary's, we've started off our season the last few years with them, and it's kind of gone back and forth. They had us last year, we had them the year before, and Eau Claire we usually see in the middle of the season, and now we're seeing them at the start, which for us, that's probably a better thing, just to hopefully catch them early. But Eau Claire, that's another team that Coach Strand has done very, very well turning around, and they made the national tournament last year. So seeing that type of quality opponent this early, hopefully, and will help us get ready for our conference games following up the next weekend.
Well, Coach Jamie Kivy, thank you so much. Both of those matches will be on the Sabre Sports Network at sabreathletics.com, the Marian Sports Network. If they can't make it, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Marian Women's Hockey Coach Jamie Kivy. If you're looking for more information on Marian Women's Hockey or anything at Marian University in the athletic department, head to sabreathletics.com. This has been a Sabre Spotlight on the Marian Sports Network.